Let's talk about the ones who think they have the power to ignore you, shall we? They act like it's some game, don't they? Playing it cool, pretending to be above you like they're some untouchable king or queen. They sit back, smug, watching as you beg for their attention, waiting for you to prove yourself. Dance for me, they say, and you're caught in their trap, spinning in circles like a puppet, thinking that if you just give them a little more, if you show them you care enough, they'll finally see your worth. But here's the reality. They're not blind, they just don't care. They see your tears, your effort, your love, and they take it. Like it's nothing. Like you're nothing. Here's the truth they won't tell you. The more you give, the less they appreciate. The more you try to win them over, the more they take you for granted. They want you to worship them, to bend to their will. But when you step back and look, are they really worth it? Are they really that special? They've convinced you that their silence is power, that their rejection is something to chase. But if their silence is so powerful, why do they need to make you feel so small? Let's call it for what it is. Their silence, their rejection. It's not power. It's insecurity masked by arrogance. A hollow throne, an illusion they've created. And you? You've been their fuel, their reason to exist. You've been keeping their little empire alive, clapping for them, cheering their absence. But what happens when you stop applauding? When you stop chasing? Let's stop playing their game. Let's stop thinking your love is the problem. The problem isn't you. It's the pedestal they've convinced you to build for them. You've been building it with your time, your heart, your energy, yet they've done nothing to deserve it. It's time to tear that pedestal down. And here's the real game changer. Your silence is the one thing they can't control. They love when you beg, when you chase, when you plead. But when you stop, when you go silent, you shift the balance. You become the storm they never saw coming. Picture this. The stage is empty. The spotlight? Gone. No audience, no applause. Just them standing in the silence they've created. And you've left. You're no longer playing their game. That's the true power of silence. This isn't about them anymore. It's about you. Your silence isn't revenge. It's liberation. It's the moment you stop begging for scraps and start recognizing your own worth. It's not about them missing you. It's about you remembering your value. Silence is not weakness. It's a declaration that says, I am more than your indifference. I am more than your games. And when you rise above it all, trust me, they won't want to see it, but they'll have no choice. The echoes of your silence will speak louder than any words ever could. So here's the question. Are you ready to stop playing small? Are you ready to become the storm that changes everything? I can feel it. The fire in your chest, the power in your soul. Let's make it real. Drop it in the comments. I am the storm. Let the world know. Let them feel it. Then hit that like button and subscribe. Not just for me, but for you. For the version of you that's about to rise. For the storm you're unleashing. This is your moment. Let's make it unforgettable. Let's make the silence deafening. Number 1. They think they're royalty. They think they're untouchable, don't they? Sitting high up on their imagined throne, looking down at you like you're nothing more than a servant to their whims. They believe that silence is their crown, that ignoring you somehow makes them powerful, and you, the one who chases after their crumbs, are beneath them. But here's the reality, my friend. Their throne isn't made of gold. It's made from everything you've given them. Your time, your energy, your love, all stacked up under them, holding them aloft, and they have the audacity to act like they earned it. Let's call this out for what it really is. They didn't earn anything. They've conned you into building them a pedestal, brick by brick, with your own hands, your own heart. Every text, every sacrifice, every moment you bent over backward, thinking they would appreciate you, yet they didn't lift you up. Instead, They used you to build their own illusion of superiority. And now they believe their silence is power. They think by ignoring you, they've won some game. But let's not kid ourselves. The only reason they feel like royalty is because you've allowed them to. Every time you've chased after their attention, every time you begged for a moment of their affection, you've handed them that crown. And now they believe they're untouchable. But here's the real kicker. Real royalty doesn't need to make others feel small to feel powerful. Real royalty doesn't play games, manipulate emotions, or hide behind silence like a coward. What they're doing isn't strength. It's weakness dressed in arrogance. They ignore you not because they're strong, but because they're terrified. Terrified of losing control. Terrified of realizing that you, not them, are the one with the real power. Imagine this. A castle made of glass, looking majestic in the sunlight, like it could never fall. But what happens when the foundation cracks? The whole thing shatters. That's their throne. Their reign is fragile, built on nothing real. And you? You're the one holding the sledgehammer. They think their silence is a weapon. They think it's proof of their superiority. But what they fail to understand is that every moment you take back your power, every second you stop chasing them, every time you choose silence over submission, you're chipping away at their fragile kingdom. They can feel it. They know that without your love, without your validation, their crown is nothing more than a cheap trinket. And here's the part they'll never admit. They need you more than you need them. Oh, they'll act indifferent. They'll play the unbothered role, like your absence doesn't faze them. But deep down, oh, deep down, they're terrified. Because they know that the second you stop feeding their ego, the illusion of their royalty crumbles, and they're left with nothing but an empty throne. So, what are you going to do now? Are you going to keep bowing to their fake power, or are you going to rise? Let me tell you something. Rising isn't about making them notice you. It's not about proving them wrong. It's about proving to yourself that you're worth more than their indifference. It's about realizing that you've been giving your all to someone who hasn't earned a damn thing. Let them sit there in their silence, thinking they've won. Because while they're busy pretending to be royalty, you're becoming the storm they can't ignore. Every moment you invest in yourself, every step you take toward your own power, every ounce of love you pour back into your own soul, it all adds up. And one day, oh, one day they'll look up and realize that their throne is empty, their kingdom is gone. And you'll be standing taller than they ever imagined. You don't need their attention. You don't need their love. What you need is to remember who you are. You're not some servant in their kingdom. You're not a pawn in their game. You're the storm. You're the fire. You're the one who defines your worth, not them. So, here's what I want you to do. Say it with me, loud and proud. I reclaim my crown. Write it in the comments. Let the world see it. Let them see you rise. Drop it like the final nail in their fake throne. I reclaim my crown. Own it. Live it. Let it fuel your transformation. And as you walk away from their kingdom, let their silence echo in your wake. And before we move on, hit that like button if this message is hitting deep inside, if it's stirring something within you. If you're ready to reclaim your crown, to rise above their games, and to build something unshakable, show your support. Every like, every comment, every subscription helps get this message to others who need to hear it, who are ready to rise just like you. So smash that like button, drop a comment, and let's make this a movement. One click at a time. Number 2, they think you're a puppet, but you're holding the strings. They think you're their puppet, don't they? They believe they can tug at your strings, make you dance, bend, and twist at their every whim. Every time they want you to respond, they think you'll jump to attention like some lifeless marionette, eager to perform. How funny, how utterly misguided. Here's the truth they can't see. You're the one holding the strings. They think they're the master of this game, pulling your every move. But what they don't realize is that you've been playing them all along. Every move they make, every silent treatment they throw your way, it's all been a trick. You've let them think they're in control, but deep down, you've always held the power. Let's break it down. They ignore you, they withhold, they play hot and cold, and they expect you to chase them. They thrive on your reactions, your attempts to win their attention, your desperation for validation. They think their silence gives them power, that your chase proves their control. But here's the twist. The moment you stop responding, the moment you cut the strings and stop playing their game, their little show crumbles. Picture this, a dark stage, a puppeteer up above, pulling strings and making the puppet dance. The audience claps and the puppeteer grins, believing they're the star of the show. But then, suddenly, the strings slacken. The puppet stops moving. The audience falls silent. The puppeteer, now exposed, stands alone, realizing they've lost their grip. That's their game. That's what they've been doing to you. They think they're in control, but without your reactions, they have nothing. They're just a performer in a show with no audience. And let's be clear, this isn't about power. This is about fear. Fear of losing you. Fear of being irrelevant. Fear of realizing they're nothing without you. They pull at your strings not to control you, but to keep you close, to keep you from realizing that the true power has always been in your hands. Because the moment you see it, the moment you stop dancing to their tune, they're left with nothing. It's time to stop pretending that their games mean anything. Stop pretending that their silence is some brilliant strategy. It's not. It's just a desperate attempt to keep you playing. You're not their puppet. You're not their toy. You're the storm, the one who decides when the game ends, not them. Now imagine this, a stage that's gone dark. No strings, no puppeteer, just silence. That's what happens when you stop reacting. When you take back your power, the game ends. They stand there, grasping at strings that no longer exist, while you walk away, free, untouchable, and in control of your own story. So here's the question. Are you ready to cut the strings? Are you ready to show them who's really in control? Say it with me. I hold the power. Drop it in the comments. Let it echo. I hold the power. Own it. Live it. And when you do, walk away from their stage, leaving their games behind, knowing that the only strings you're holding are the ones you choose. Number 3, ignoring you. Oh, so they're ignoring you now, huh? Acting like their silence is some kind of power move, like it's some clever tactic to make you bow down, chase them, or beg for their attention. They think that by shutting you out, they've got control, that they're winning the game. How cute, how utterly wrong. Because here's the cold, hard truth. Ignoring you isn't power, it's fear. Yes, fear. They can try to hide behind their indifference, put on a show of being too busy, too cool, too unaffected, but deep down, they're terrified. Terrified of being vulnerable, terrified of what happens when they open up, terrified of the weight of real connection. They think their silence will make you second-guess yourself, doubt your worth, chase after them like you're desperate for a crumb of attention. But you're not chasing anymore. You're seeing through the act. Let me paint you a picture. Picture a child playing hide and seek, burying their face in their hands, believing that because they can't see you, you can't see them. That's them. They think their silence makes them invisible, untouchable. But in reality, they're hiding from you, hiding from the truth, hiding from the reflection they're afraid to face. Their silence isn't strength, it's avoidance. It's their way of keeping control, of keeping you at arm's length, because deep down they know they can't meet you at your level. Let's talk about why they do this. They're not ignoring you because you're not worth their time. No, my friend. They're ignoring you because they're afraid of what happens when you see through their masks. They're afraid of the love you're offering because it forces them to face the parts of themselves they've been running from. When someone loves them, really loves them, they're forced to look in the mirror and see their own flaws, their own failures, their own emptiness. So what do? They push you away. They ignore you, not because they're strong, but because they're scared. Scared that if you see them for who they truly are, you'll realize they don't deserve you. Now, I know their silence hurts. I know it cuts deep. I know it makes you question everything about yourself, makes you wonder if you're not enough, if you're not worthy. But let me remind you, their silence says everything about them and nothing about you. It's not a reflection of your worth. It's a reflection of their insecurities, their inability to be real, their fear of the kind of love you bring. Imagine a lion roaring, powerful and unafraid, standing tall in the jungle. That's you. And them. Oh, they're the shadow, hoping you don't notice them. They hide in their silence because they know they can't match your strength. They can't meet you where you stand, so they try to shrink you down to their level. But here's the thing. Why would a lion waste its roar on a shadow? Their silence is their loss, not yours. Every second they spend ignoring you is another second they lose someone who cared, someone who tried, someone who loved them for who they could be. And you? Oh, you're not losing anything, because with every moment they stay silent, they're giving you the chance to see them for what they truly are, afraid, weak, and not worthy of your energy. So, what do you do now? Do you let their silence control you? Do you let their fear make you question your value? Or do you rise? Rising isn't about getting their attention. It's not about proving them wrong. It's about reclaiming your power. It's about realizing that their silence only highlights your worth. Because if they can't see your value, that's not your fault. That's their blindness. So, let's flip the script. Every moment you refuse to chase, every second you stand your ground, you turn their silence into your weapon. Their silence becomes your strength. It becomes your armor, your shield, your declaration that you don't need their validation to feel complete. It's time to see their silence for what it really is: a mask, a defense, a pathetic attempt to control what they can't. It's time to rise above their fear. Say it with me. Their silence is weakness, and then walk away with your head held high, knowing that their fear will never define your strength. Number 4. You were worshipping a plastic throne. Oh, you were worshipping a plastic throne, weren't you? Pouring all your heart, your time, your energy into someone who made you believe they were something greater, something worthy of your adoration. They sat high, looking down on you with that fake royal air, pretending to be a king or queen, but their throne wasn't made of marble or gold. No, it was a cheap, hollow plastic that could shatter with the smallest blow. And you polished it, you built it, you made it shine, thinking they were something more than they ever were. You see, they convinced you they were special, that if you loved them enough, if you sacrificed enough, if you bent low enough, they'd finally see your worth. They'd finally return the love, the respect, the devotion you gave them. But it was all smoke and mirrors. Their throne wasn't built from real strength. It was constructed from your efforts, your time, your energy, and your love. And what did they do? They sat there on their plastic throne, soaking up everything you gave them without ever truly giving back. Let me tell you something about plastic. It's fragile. It cracks, it chips, it melts under pressure. And you're the fire. You're the one who's been pouring all your light into holding that throne together. Every moment you spent chasing after them, hoping for validation, hoping for their affection, you were feeding the illusion. But the second you stop, just the second you pull back your energy, your love, your efforts, everything starts to break. That throne starts to crumble, the cracks widen, and the mask they've been wearing falls away. You thought you were serving royalty, didn't you? You thought you were giving everything to someone who deserved it. But the truth is, they weren't royalty. They were a pretender, playing dress-up in a crown they didn't earn, sitting on a throne that was only propped up by your love. When you stop bowing to them, when you stop feeding their ego, the whole illusion shatters. And suddenly, they're left sitting there, exposed for what they truly are, someone who never deserved your devotion. The harsh reality? They needed you far more than you ever needed them. Without you, without the love, the energy, the care you poured into them, they're nothing. That plastic throne doesn't stand on its own. It stands because you've been holding it up, keeping it from falling apart. And the second you stop, the second you take back your power, it all crumbles, leaving them with nothing. So what do you do now? You stop worshipping. You stop sacrificing yourself for someone who never saw your worth. You stop trying to fix something that was never real to begin with. It's time to build something real, something sturdy, something worthy of your time and love. You don't need their plastic throne. You don't need their fake crown. You are the throne. You are the crown. Rise, my friend. Say it with me. I burn the throne. Let them know that you're done bending, done breaking, done giving yourself to someone who doesn't deserve you. When the ashes settle, you'll see it clearly. You were never the servant. You were always the royalty. Number 5. The silence isn't for them, it's for you. So you think this silence is a game you're playing with them, don't you? You think it's some clever tactic to get them to notice, to feel the void you've left, to make them ache for you the way you once did for them. But here's the hard truth, my friend. This silence, it's not for them. It's for you. It's your time to step out of their world, to stop waiting for their validation, to stop hoping they'll come running back. Every second you spend wondering whether they're thinking of you, whether your silence is making them miss you, is a second you're still tethered to their whims. And you deserve better. You deserve freedom, peace, and a life where you're not consumed by someone else's indifference. So why give them your precious energy? Why let them keep taking from you? What have they ever truly given you in return for all your effort? Pain, confusion, sleepless nights. They don't deserve your attention. They don't deserve your mind space. Now, you're trying to play the silence game, thinking it'll hurt them the way their actions hurt you. But silence isn't a weapon, it's a shield. It's not meant to punish them, it's meant to protect you. To protect your heart from further damage, to protect your peace from their chaos. Every moment you remain silent is a step toward healing, a step toward reclaiming your own power. This silence isn't revenge. It's not meant to make them regret or crawl back to you. No, it's about you finally putting yourself first. It's about you taking back what you've given so freely to someone who never appreciated it. They didn't value your words, your love, your time. So why continue to give it to them? Why keep offering pieces of yourself to someone who can't even see your worth? This silence is your armor. It's you putting an end to the endless cycle of seeking their attention and validation. It's a declaration that you're done sacrificing your happiness for someone who couldn't even meet you halfway. And here's the best part. You don't need them to care. You don't need them to notice. What you need is to care about yourself more than you ever did about them. Because let me tell you, this silence isn't empty. It's filled with your strength, your healing, your growth. Every minute you hold that silence, you're telling the universe, I choose me. And that, my friend, is where your true power lies. So stop waiting for them to respond. Stop waiting for them to feel the absence. They don't matter anymore. You do. This silence is yours. Own it. Let it breathe life back into you. And when you're ready, step forward with the confidence that the world, your world, is waiting for you to take it back. Number 6. Your silence is the real crown. Let's get one thing crystal clear. Your silence is the true crown. It's not their attention, not their hollow words, not the breadcrumbs they throw your way when they feel like it. No, the real power, the real throne, the real crown is found in the quiet strength you carry. Because silence, my friend, is louder than any words they could say. Right now, they think they have you figured out. They think you're sitting there waiting for them to make the next move, desperately hoping for their validation. But here's the twist. Every second you stay silent, every moment you refuse to beg for their acknowledgement, you're showing them just how wrong they are. Oh, how it must sting to them. They expected you to chase, to beg, to fall to pieces without their attention. But instead you've gone silent. And let me tell you, there's power in that silence that they'll never understand. They thought they were the ones wearing the crown, the ones in control. But a real crown isn't worn by someone who plays games, who thrives on power struggles. A true crown belongs to the one who knows their worth without needing constant validation from anyone. And guess who that is? It's you. Every moment you remain silent, you're telling the universe, I know who I am. I don't need their approval to feel complete. Let's talk about crowns for a second. They're heavy. They require strength, wisdom, and grace. And your silence? Oh, it's the proof that you have all of that, and more. You don't need to shout or explain yourself. You don't need to plead for attention. Your silence speaks volumes. It says, I'm not here for drama. I'm here for peace, for my own self-respect, for my own power. Staying silent isn't easy. It's tempting to fight, to explain, to make them see your side. But every moment you choose peace over chaos, every second you resist the urge to engage, you are proving that your crown is real, and theirs was just an illusion, built on games and manipulation. Picture this. A grand, empty throne room. No noise, no distractions. Just you sitting there, unbothered, calm, in control of your own world. That's what your silence creates. A kingdom on your terms, where you don't need their validation to feel strong. They might try to rattle you, to pull you back into their twisted games. But your silence, it's your armor, your weapon, your crown, and it is untouchable. The truth they don't want to admit? Your silence is proof that you're stronger than they could ever fathom. It makes them second-guess themselves, makes them wonder what's going on inside your head. And while they may never admit it, your silence will haunt them more than anything you could say. So wear that silence like the crown it truly is. Sit tall on your throne of peace and grace. Say it with me now, my silence is power. Let that truth echo, loud and clear, and let them witness what true royalty looks like when you stop chasing their approval and start ruling your own world. Number 7. What if they come back? The question that haunts every step of your journey, doesn't it? What if they come back? You've worked so hard to reclaim your peace, to find your balance, and yet, there it is. That nagging thought that slithers in when you least expect it. What if they reach out? What if they text, call, or somehow remember that you exist? Will you open the door? Will you let them waltz back into your life as if nothing ever happened? Or will you stand tall, rooted in the strength you've earned, and remind yourself of who you are now? Let me tell you something about people who come back. They don't return because they've had some divine epiphany about your value. They come back because they've felt the weight of your absence. It's not love that pulls them in. It's their ego. They feel the gap, the void where your light, your energy, your attention once filled them. And when that light is gone, suddenly they start scrambling to find it again. But let's be clear, when they return, it's not to honor you, it's to take. Picture this. a moth, endlessly circling a flame. It's not drawn to the beauty or power of the fire. It's only there for the warmth it can feed on, and the moment that light flickers out, so does the moth. That's them. They come back because they miss the warmth you gave, but they're not coming back to give any in return. And what do they say when they finally show up? I've changed. I was wrong. I miss you. Oh, how convenient, how perfectly timed. But let me ask you, where was all this change when you were giving them everything? Where was this awakening when you were begging for their attention, their love, their respect? They ignored you when you needed them most, but now that you've rebuilt, now that you've learned your worth, they think they can just walk back in, as though time hadn't passed, as if nothing ever changed. But here's the real truth. Your silence wasn't a trap for them. It was a gift for you. It was the space you needed to heal, to grow, to come back stronger than ever. And if they come back, it's not because they've become a better person. It's because your absence made them feel uncomfortable. But their discomfort, that's not your problem. Their regret, their loss, their feelings of inadequacy don't belong to you. You owe them nothing. You've done the work, my friend. You've stayed silent, not because you're waiting for them, but because you're rebuilding. You're becoming the person you were always meant to be. If they couldn't see your value when you were at your lowest, they sure as hell don't deserve a seat at your table now that you've risen. So, what if they come back? The answer is simple. You decide. Not from a place of fear or nostalgia, but from the strength you've cultivated. Ask yourself this: does their return align with the life you're creating? Do they deserve the powerful, healed version of you? And if the answer is no, then stand firm. Let them knock on the door while you lock it, for good. Say it with me: I owe them nothing. Let it ring loud in your heart and soul, because that is the anthem of your transformation. Your silence was never about them. It was always about you. And if they come back, they're not testing your worth. They're witnessing the power that's always been yours. Number 8. They think you're gone, but you're just getting started. Oh, they think you're gone, don't they? They're sitting there basking in the illusion that your silence means surrender, that you've given up, that you've faded away like a forgotten shadow. They believe their games, their neglect, their silence was enough to erase you. But what they don't know, you're not gone. You're just getting started, and oh, they're about to witness a comeback like no other. See, they thought they could break you, that leaving you in the dark would bury your light. But what they don't realize is that they were only feeding the fire within you, stoking the flames of your growth, your power, your transformation. They thought your silence was defeat, but it's the calm before the storm. You've been building, rebuilding, reinventing yourself in ways they never saw coming. What they failed to understand is that when you walk away, you don't just leave, you rise. You rise like a storm that's been gathering force, like a phoenix rising from the ashes, stronger than before. They believed you were a casualty of their indifference, but you've become the catalyst for your own reinvention. You're no longer the person they thought they knew. You're the version of yourself that's been quietly gathering power in the background, crafting the life you deserve. And while they sit there thinking they've won, thinking they've erased you, they have no idea that you've been plotting your next move all along. Every moment of silence. It's been your time to grow, to evolve, to learn your worth. And now you're unstoppable. You're not just alive again, you're thriving, and that's something they'll never understand. Let them sit in their delusion, thinking their rejection was the end of your story. Because what they don't realize is that you're writing your own story now. You're the author, not the character. They were just a chapter in the plot, and now it's time for the next level. They may have thought they could lock you out, but while they were busy playing their little mind games, You were opening doors to a future so brilliant, so full of promise, that their absence will only ever be a footnote in your epic rise. So let them think they've won. Let them think you're gone. Because what they don't see is that you're not disappearing. You're stepping into your power. You're reclaiming your life, your energy, your peace. And when they finally catch a glimpse of the force you've become, they'll see it's not just the fire they once ignored. It's a blazing inferno of unstoppable force. This is your time. This is your stage. You're not backing down. You're only just getting started. Say it with me. I'm just getting started. Feel it in your bones. Own it. Live it. They thought they had written your end, but this is just the beginning of your rise, and it's going to be epic.